Good. So you guys are going to meet. Brilliant. I was talking to Colin Beard the other day, and he said he was asking whether you guys had any questions for him, and if you wanted to have a chat. So, Colin Beard's model, the 6 tumblers. No, we did it last session. We're gonna do.
Yeah, the inside and outside one.
Outside world and the
Oh man,
sensing.
I know. Are we in the same course? Okay, let's begin. Oh man. Anyway, he was asking. So if you have any questions, let me know and I'll set it up. Or you can connect with him, and whoever is there is there. So just remember that not everybody has to be there. Those who can will. And yeah. So let's revisit
Which was
the beard.
just wanted to remind that you had mentioned that we would start with the tangram puzzle. So just wanted to remind.
Yes, and we won't start with it. We're going to have coffee with it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. But we've got it ready. So I hope you guys have your tangrams ready. If you don't, get somebody to cut it up for you. It takes about 5 minutes. Right. So I just want to use this this screen as a reflective tool. Where are you today?
Curious.
Okay. Above the line.
Up the line.
Kalpana, you have to put your mic on, only then we are.
Yeah, committed to learning.
Okay. You can use your own words to describe where you are with respect to the line. Just know that.
Interested.
Okay. Okay. I'm kind of, maybe I'm just a little below the line a little today. I'm a little tired. I had to cancel the class on facilitation for transfer yesterday because there was a death in the family, and then a whole lot of things happened. It happened really suddenly. 81-year-old gentleman feeling. I'm just telling you the story because it's interesting how things happen, and sometimes we develop or build a point of view on the basis of something that happens in our lives. So just call it me learning from experience at this point in time, that the experience of somebody passing away yesterday and the circumstances in which it happened. So he woke up not feeling too well, kind of feeling, he said, oh, it's kind of irritating. Maybe I've got acidity or whatever. And he'd already had many jalusos apparently since 2 o'clock in the morning. So his son said, okay, why don't we just go to the doctor? So he walks up to the car, they sit, they're having a little chat, and then he goes unconscious on the drive. And by the time they reach the hospital, he's still unconscious, and it's over. And I was just thinking, damn, I would like to go off like that. No fuss, no goodbyes, no regrets. He didn't know it. And that's it. And if you've lived that long, by and large, you'd think that you've lived a life. you know. And I was having this wonderful conversation with my younger son about it. I said, what if I pop off tomorrow, you know? What are you going to do? Or how are you going to feel? And we had this wonderful conversation about it. So it's not the death that gets me down. I think it was just, it's so much around it. Oh, well, but I'll be back. Give me about 30 seconds. So, just in case you've forgotten, and you did, this is Colin Beard's model. Can somebody explain it to me in 2 minutes? Go ahead and risk it. You're allowed to mess it up. Is that a no, or is that no? I'm not going to risk it. What's the story here?
I'll try.
Yeah.
That as an educator, what this model tells me is that I can control the environment, I can control the activities, so I can control what I'm giving, but how it's being received is not in my control. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Therefore, anything that I do outside must be powerful enough to move them from through the senses, because the senses is the entry point, right?
Yes.
So how are they going to sense it? Is it safe? Is it threatening? Depending on that, they're going to decide whether to fight or flight, or to receive, or to be agreeable and willing to go through the experience. Okay, so I'm going to use this to, so this is what happened. Colin at one point in time invited me to do a workshop with him with instructors at Outward Bound in Singapore. And he said they want something on professionalism. Have you heard that word? Professionalism? Yeah. Very quickly.
I don't know why I don't like that word.
Okay, great. You know what? Don't worry about it. Put down a word somewhere above those two characters on the screen, a word, what professionalism the word does to you, or what's your idea of professionalism? One word is enough. You know how to use the text, right? In annotate. Go ahead. Type the word. Nikita, Drupad, come alive. Close your face. All those missing faces, can you come alive? Thank you. Accountable, stiff, accountable and responsible. Pressure. Better enable. Mercenary. Wow, somebody really doesn't like it. Is that you, Nitya?
Vishwas, I just lost the track. I logged out from my laptop and logged in from my phone. So, what was the instruction? What do we have to annotate?
The word professionalism.
Okay.
What does that mean to you? Or what does it do to you?
Okay.
Protocol, rigid, stiff, standard. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with the story while, and I've pretty much responded. Okay, so I pretty much, I don't like that word either. And the other word I don't like is maturity. So professionalism and maturity, I have no idea what they mean. And of course, I wanted to go to Singapore and work with him and with Outward Bound. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. Sure, I'll do it. So what the hell am I going to do? So I started with the only way I know, which is, stop getting anxious, professionalism. It can mean anything. And I put that, I started.
You put yourself on mute.
You were not mute.
Yeah, somebody told me to shut up, I think. So, so I put that, I created a word web and it kind of grew and grew and grew to a point. And then after a while, when I kept looking at it, I noticed a pattern. And that pattern, the pattern that emerged is what I'm going to share with you. Now, this is how models get made, apparently. So here's my model of what we call the 3 C's. Okay, great. This is you. This is the educator. The educator, so we know that there's an area of no control and there's an area of control. We've talked about it. Now, the thing is this, that we tend to think that the area of control, if it's, let's just go back and have a look at it. So it's the outer world, and there are 2 elements in it. One is actually 3. Did I tell you last time to add that piece? Where and with whom? Those of you who didn't, so where and with whom is learning taking place, and what will they actually do, which is the activity piece? What are they going to do? And we design activities for them or experiences for them. We can find out who our learners are going to be, age group, background. You can collect as much information as you want. And the third piece is, where is that learning going to happen? Is it a classroom scenario? Is it in the outdoors? Is it in a corridor? Is it in a conference room? Where exactly is that going to happen? So in some ways, we've got control over that. While looking at that model, it occurred to me that an organization like Outward Bound, that has been around for half a century, knows all that stuff. So they, so what is professionalism? And it turns out that I said, wow, you mean professionalism in that context would mean that they need, the organization saying all our instructors need to present themselves in a particular way. And those are the words that you threw up there. Now, some of you threw up what it meant to you. Some of you threw up what you saw as professionalism. Stiff, right, is an example. So, okay, great. So now what does that mean? That means the person, the instructor, the educator is a big element in that interaction, in that outer world. Now, who is this person? Let's just have a look at that. So this is you, this is the educator, and all of us come from different backgrounds and training and education, experiences, language, culture. This is us. Look around. If you can see everybody else in the gallery view, please look around. There's similarities, but There's a whole bunch of stuff that is there on screen that we cannot see. Would you agree? Right? So pretty much, and think of all the people you educate or have ever educated. How much did you really know about them? Question one. Two, what? Except knowing that they are 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds and therefore you modify your stuff. If you look at a bunch of adults, I mean, what difference does it really make? And it can tweak the design and the content and the experiences and the activities we choose to do. But that tweaking is limited by this person, this educator, you. It's limited by what you know, what you have encountered, and what you've experienced. Okay? Yeah. What I'm essentially saying is, hey, you know what? When we go out there to do our stuff, we are a huge piece in that puzzle. And this is what we are made of. If you ask a person, okay, what are you made of? So you say brain, heart, kidneys, whatever. Yeah. Now here's the thing. Besides the physical us, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Our upbringing affects anything you want to add that I've missed.
Your cultures and traditions.
Values.
Okay.
Values.
Yeah. Values, culture and tradition.
Experience.
It's there.
Yeah.
Will we say values is a byproduct of this?
Byproduct of this.
As in, like your values get built because of some memories, some experiences you have.
But it's you, no?
Okay.
No, I disagree there. Values is a foundation, right? Is based on which your upbringing happens. The value system.
Okay.
Things that beliefs and values are all your foundation.
What about your goal or ambition?
Yeah, add that to that list as well. Ambitions. So values, culture, tradition, ambition, dreams, agendas, and you can go on. Now, what's the point here? This is you. And you are bringing all that into that space with the group. Agreed?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. So now here's the thing.
So I just want to share one point here, Vishwas, that for me as a teacher, where will my political biases come here?
Yeah,
Like me as a
political or personal, it's all there, no, inside you.
It's all there, right?
Yeah.
Because then at times it does happen when I am teaching a history class. Like, I do get in my own personal bias.
Of course
because
you do.
I am more connected to maybe one political thought.
Yeah, your leanings. I mean, it's like a belief.
Yeah.
You lean towards certain more than others. So,
But
and you're bringing that into your classroom.
Right. So that's like, I am kind of trying my level best to convince my students that this is what is right. So what we had spoken about last time, the right and the wrong.
Not different from any of us trying to go out there. If it's a corporate training thing, same story. The organization says, hey, we want something done on leadership and these are the values. And then you go about trying to tweak everything towards wanting to, go that way. And so personal politics is also part of this. Okay. I want to move on. So we bring this into play when we educate. Even as parents, think of the number of times you've done something because your parents did it to you. And sometimes you stop and say, why am I doing that? And you know, so many times we can't stop ourselves. It's like, I don't know, I'm just doing it. Right? So we very often teach the way we were taught. We lead the way we were led. We parent the way we were parented. And it's like somebody's history. So my history and all this stuff that I'm carrying comes into play immediately in the moment when I'm responding, reacting to a scenario or a situation in my life. Okay? Now, and then that shows up to the world, right? And what I'm going to...
Isn't that the video that someone shared on the deep group about authenticity and relationships? Like,
Sorry?
Isn't that the video someone shared about authenticity and relationships? So like someone does it because we do the things that because of someone, because of our relationships, but we're not really authentic to it. And after 40, 45 years old, we don't know who we are.
Yeah, I have a problem with that word authentic because the moment you say you're not authentic means that you're cheating or you're doing something wrong.
Okay.
And who the hell knows what authentic means anyway? And how many of us are being authentic right now? And how will you know?
Only I can.
Yeah. And if somebody asks you, are you Parth, are you being authentic? You'd say, of course I am. What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, who would say, no, you know what, I'm cheating? And so I just hear a lot of judgment in that word, authentic. Okay, so what tends to happen is, okay, so I'm going to use that word and say, you know, this is our conditioning. And it's layers and layers being formed over time. We keep adding to it. We may change it. We may be affected. One way of thinking that my parents I grew up with may be replaced with another millennium approach. I don't know, but it layers, and we are collecting all this stuff. And most of our lives are spent in responding from this place. So, what tends to happen is if, as an outward bound instructor, I have been told that, hey, you know what, if one of these kids who comes to you does not have their shoelaces tied, then what will you do?
We ask them.
Huh?
We ask them just tie a shoelace.
That's it. And why?
Because that is how we have been told, always at least
Right.
tie up
Now,
your shoelaces.
And so I'm this kid who's asking you, Swami, please tell me why you're asking me to tie shoelaces.
Because you might fall down, stepping on.
This is how my childhood has been, my upbringing
How do you
has
know
been.
I'm going to fall down?
Because somewhere we get our experience if we...
Raise your hand if you have fallen down because of untied shoelaces.
No, I haven't.
Never.
Archana is the only lucky one.
We have tripped while playing.
Okay. Okay. Now, out of 25 of us, there's one person who has had the experience, but when we see our children do that, we tell them to tie their shoelaces, no? But we'll come to the shoelace problem. So the question is, where did this come from? And invariably, it comes from what I'm calling conditioning here. Now, most of our lives, when we go situation to situation in our life, even right now, as you sit there and you experience this, you are potentially responding from that old conditioned place, whatever that means. Only you know what it is. When we react to the world, when we respond to the world, invariably this conditioning, I'm going to use the word leaks out into my behavior and action. And you just proved it by telling me to tie my shoelaces. You don't know why, and you told me that you told me to tie my shoelaces because your parents told you. Or that's the way it has been done. You know what? You should Google that story about 5 apes in a cage. I'd love to tell it to you right now, but you go have fun with it. It's a brilliant story about how cultures are created. Okay, so that conditioning in this moment as we spoke leaked out into your conduct. Do you notice that? And it's constantly happening in almost every relationship, every encounter that you're having. So the Outward Bound instructors, Outward Bound wanted their instructors to be able to present themselves well and be very professional in their approach. And I had no idea what that meant. And across cultures, that thing means very different things. So I said, maybe I shouldn't be telling them what to do. And I was discovering it myself anyway. So this is what emerged as a result. So what happens by and large is that your conditioning leaks into your conduct, and your conduct is what people see. Yeah? So let's just do a little exercise. Let's have a little conversation about where am I? Let's have a little conversation. I'm going to throw scenarios at you, and I want you to be aware of your conditioning playing itself out. You ready? Okay. You may have children, may not have children, but there's some kid in your life. Yes?
Yes.
You there? Yeah. Okay, you're there. Right. So there's this child whom you see who's eating tons of ice cream. What will you do? Quick.
Stop him.
Correct. Why?
Because
Okay, you don't answer Manjusha yet. Let's just listen to if there are any other answers.
Join in.
Join
I
in.
will share. I'll ask the child to share with me.
Okay. And I'm not going to share it with you.
May tell that child the amount of money which is getting wasted.
Okay. Just think about where all this came from, yeah?
Maybe tell the child that the sugar will mess up their teeth.
Really? Do you know that?
No, it's just something that I was told a lot.
Nice. See how conditioning plays up? Okay. Second scenario, just watch it happen in yourself as I give you these scenarios. Let's assume you have a brother or a sister, okay? Or somebody who's in that, kind of part of that, somewhere in that relationship. Your brother or sister, whoever, drinks alcohol regularly. What's going on? Tell me.
Worry.
Okay. What are you going to do?
show concern and tell him the ill effects of overconsumption of alcohol.
Okay. And do you know it?
Yes.
Ask
Okay.
them why they are doing it.
Okay.
Pursue and try continuously to bring my brother or sister out of it. I'll try from my side continuously.
Okay. So a lot of them sound like strategies, right? You jump into action, solutioning. You've already said in your head it's bad. Then you're going to try and move them away from it. Yeah? Okay.
Sorry,
Your
can I interrupt, Vishwas?
Yeah.
So with this example, I had no reaction, and I realized that I've not had that experience in my life with anyone in family or nearby. So
Okay, I'm going to give you one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one very quickly. Your partner doesn't bathe for 10 days.
Doesn't?
Bathe.
Eat.
Already? See, so quick.
I didn't get that.
Your partner doesn't
take a
bathe,
bath.
Doesn't take a bath.
Okay.
Unpartner.
I'll mark my own blanket and everything in the house.
Away. Myself away.
Somebody you know, you see what's going on in your head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody you know uses, somebody you know very well, starts using bad language in every sentence.
Starts questioning why the change.
What does it do
I
to you?
asked my friend, is it the corporate world which has taught you those abusive language? And it really literally happened.
Where did that question come
Check
from?
the need. Check the need.
That's all NVC stuff that at some point in time, oh, Archana, you want to play that game? Okay, here's one. Oh, actually, one of these, I'm sure you, will you really talk about needs at that point in time if your partner doesn't bathe for 10 days? Are you
No.
going to get into this inquiry?
No. You asked about bad words, so I said.
I know.
The
Right.
need. Myself will check with the need.
Yeah, I mean, but just remember that you're being hit with those bad words in every sentence and you're stuck in that relationship. Let's say it's somebody at home. Will you
I'll
really
try
be
not
asking
to
them
be
about
around.
their needs at that point in time? Okay, what I really wanted to establish was that all this is coming from somewhere. It's coming from our values, beliefs, all that stuff. Okay, great. Now, you see the danger of it happening like that, because now if that was your own son or daughter, you have to maintain a relationship. If they're teenagers, even a greater need to maintain the relationship. And that kind of response is not going to be useful. So and we tend to do this in our classrooms as well, okay? Just remember this is not just us in close relationships. We do the same thing. That's how we are programmed. It's a safe, regular, comfortable way of responding to any situation. Go back to what you think is wisdom.
It's my comfort zone.
That's it. Okay. So,
Vishwas, I have a question. Is that good? Is that bad? Going back to my own space and probably, or it's just being aware that I know where am I stepping into?
you see, the problem is when we bring these words good and bad in, no, then it becomes a problem, because now if I tell you yes or no, what will it do to you?
Start questioning.
So I will think, why is
Really?
it good?
Condition.
Really? Then why do you need to know? What don't you know already? Why are you asking me? Don't you know the answer?
Yes.
We're all really wise, man. I'm telling you, we know the answers. We just want somebody else to confirm it. And that goes back to your conditioning that, oh, then I must do the things that are supposedly good and okay by somebody else's standards.
Validation.
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 Right.
Okay? Great. So, now here's the thing. I began to see that there was this other bucket. So I put some things in that word web into conditioning of what professionalism was. I put some of it into conduct. And as I understood it, they wanted the conduct to be a particular way. And I said, how am I going to affect their conduct? Because I don't know what conditioning they come from. And I can't change their conditioning, nor can they. So what am I going to do about professionalism? So here was that insight. And I said, there seems to be this gap. There's this moment when something happens on the outside and it triggers something in the inside. Yeah? It triggers something, and then something from the inside comes, goes back outside as a response. You see this bouncing? And in that moment was the only possibility of affecting what was going to be shown as my conduct. Is this making sense?
Could you repeat if you...
I want you to elaborate it.
Okay, so you say something to me. Okay? Shall I use the shoelace thing? Okay, so you see a child with untied shoelaces. It does something to you. Imagine this, okay? Imagine this. It does something to you. And most of the times, the immediate response is, hey, tie your shoelaces. You remember how quickly it came when I asked you that? You operated from your conditioning. And when I ask you, have you really fallen with untied shoelaces? And very few of us really have that experience, but we tell all the children in our lives, tie your shoelaces. So it happened really fast. It's like that. I know on the net, it looks very slow, but this is really fast. Now, I'm saying that most of our lives is lived like this. What the hell? That means I'm operating in some ways in a second-hand nature. And I can't change anybody's conduct. But so what can I do? And I can't change their conditioning. So what can I do? Am I then helpless? Probably not. And this is what I began. Now are you getting it? Now there's this gap. Okay, you see something and you see it, you make sense, and before there's an opportunity, you've done that. And saying, hey, hold. You saw that child with shoelaces untied. Before you say anything, just take a deep breath. Okay? Now, what's that deep breath for? The deep breath is for you to go inside. Okay? And the thing is, when we take the time, something different is going to happen. Because we've paused that. Okay? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Why aren't your shoelaces tight? Oh, damn, that kid doesn't even know what I'm talking about. Why didn't you do your homework? All the things that we scream and shout at children about, those of us who are parents, or if we are, whatever, or being shouted at, you know what this feels like, right? And I'm saying, hey, guys, one of the reasons this happens is that we are not thinking. And a great way of introducing another method at any point in time in our lives is to pause. Where am I? Who is that person? Are we at a party? Are we in a play field? Does my son have his friends with him? And am I going to scream and shout at him in that moment? So that sense of space, not just physical, but am I angry already? Am I speaking from anger? Am I speaking from sadness? Am I speaking from resentment? Huge, powerful emotions that get triggered like this. Whom am I talking to? And, very often we play the adult with these children. Even when they are not children, we play adult. Now, here's something that affected, influenced me in a huge way. There was this poetry, and just remember, once you've said what you know that? Once you've said it, it's over, it's gone. Okay? It's like the archer who lets the arrow go. Once it's gone, only in science fiction movies they do this and stop it, right? But we don't have those supernatural powers. Once it's gone, it's going to go and hit its target. And this is when I remembered something I read years ago, and some of you are possibly familiar with this. Please read this. Anybody recognize this?
Khalil Gibran.
Imagine how many of us are parents in this group? Just imagine how much ownership, my son, my daughter, forget it. They can be yours, they can come from you, but we have no ownership over them. And I'm guessing you all know the truth behind these lines already, no?
Yeah.
How many times have I told you? Yeah, but you know what? The guy has got his own thoughts, man. So next time you encounter your child, You've done your job. Khatam. Over. And you know, the amount of suffering we bring, understand one thing, it doesn't mean we don't do anything. So here's what we could do. And we can't do it with our children. We brought them forth. Now they're arrows. With that arrow is going to fly into life and into the future. But we can do something for ourselves, for all the other children that we ever meet, all the other adults that will ever walk into our classrooms, all those people who are at home. And this is what we can do. Stay alive to what is true in the present. Is this, I don't know, in somewhere this field of experiential ed and its methodology kind of transgresses into philosophy. Any idea what this means and how you will practice it? What would be a response to you seeing my shoelaces untied?
You know they are open, right?
Are you asking me? Now we role play.
That's my response.
Oh, you're not, that's your response.
I'll still ask you to try.
My response to you is that you know your shoelaces.
Here's the thing. Now we have to role play.
Yeah,
I'm the kid.
I'm role playing.
Go on.
So I said, you know your shoelaces are open, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Over.
That's it?
Please try it.
And then?
That's it.
Sorry, who's Manjusha?
Please try it.
What
Please
for?
try your shoelaces.
Why, ma'am? Why are you constantly telling, everybody's telling me?
Let me.
I mean, what's the problem?
Okay, you might fall.
I might say, come, let me tie
right?
your shoelaces.
I might fall. Okay, so?
Okay, then it is your call.
Careful, your shoelaces are undone.
Sorry, Bala?
I said, careful, your shoelaces are not tied.
What do you want me to be careful about?
You might trip, fall.
Okay, I've never fallen so far.
So if you don't want to tie your laces, you might want to try buy a shoes which doesn't have laces.
Yeah, but my mom, man, she keeps bringing these shoelaces, shoes with laces. I keep,
Why don't you try talking to her?
I did. We went shopping and she said, no, shoelaces, shoes with shoelaces is better than Velcro.
For me, sir,
Is that Atul? Who's that? Okay, look, you can't win this battle with me.
Look, I had fallen once or twice when I had the shoelaces untied.
That's because you don't know how
for me,
to
sir,
walk.
when I work with the
If you want to run, before running, you can tie up your shoelaces if you don't want to fall.
Can I help you with your shoelaces?
Oh, you can help me. Yeah, I mean, how are you going to help me?
I'll tie them for you.
Okay, you can tie them, and then I'm going to go 2 feet ahead and say, thanks so much, ma'am. And then I untie them.
Pardon me?
I'm going to untie them. Okay,
So
stop. You can't win this battle.
yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
So
I'll tell you why. Because you've all got an agenda. You, by hook or by crook, you want me to tie my shoelace. Hi, Anna.
No.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. You indicated it.
No, I just asked you. You know they're open, right?
Yeah, sure. Now what?
Oh, okay, fine. That's it.
Okay.
I'm not concerned now. As long as you know that they're open and you want to
Okay.
leave them open. So.
And what are the assumptions you're making there?
So the assumption that I'm making is that, no, it's not an assumption. It's my apprehension that if you are like, that's what one gets to hear. So there is a conditioning that if your laces are open, you may trip or fall. So I'm coming from there, but at the same time, maybe you want to leave them open. So I'm not judging you. I'm just asking you that you know they are open. So I'm making you aware without putting my fear into you.
Will you leave it like that?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
So for
As
me,
a
I can
teacher, we have instructions,
I
right?
can do that.
That your children should, I mean, as a part of their discipline, we are expected to see to it that children are in proper uniform and the shoelaces are tied and all.
Yeah, I mean, the school books with those first few pages of the diary are full of that nonsense.
Sir, I can give instructions. Okay, please tie your laces, but I can get detached from the outcome. It's your call. Whether
Is
you
that
want.
it? Will you leave it there?
I can do that, sir.
I will not.
You know,
Sir, is this a good if I do that? If I
what
say,
was that? Somebody's trying to speak and I'm not able to tell who it is.
sir, it's me, Atul.
Bolo.
Sir, is this good if I tell them okay, what karma says, if you do something wrong with something, it will come back to you. So if you do the wrong with your shoelace.
Now you've destroyed my next life also.
Your shoe may fall off if you.
But the thing is, kids with this are on the forest and they will stuck there.
Stop. You can't win this. We will be revisiting the shoelace problem in the reflection session. But here's something I want you to.
Vishwas, before you move, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we spoke about this take this shoelace for example, and then kind of draw parallel to the role of parents. So what is upbringing then?
Conditioning.
Correct. So how do we, or rather, like as you said, whether probably consciously we might not reflect our fears or anything, but subconsciously maybe we do reflect our fears too, and children are very quick to pick that up. So whether you know it or not, you're still conditioning them to something that you have been already conditioned about.
Sure.
So is there something that we can do about it? Consciously, at least.
Why do you want to do anything about it?
Say, for example, I don't like that, I was conditioned like that when I was, as a child or growing up, because the thought process was kind of.
Good. That's a good beginning. That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Now what?
So the reasons are good, but then how do I achieve it? Because I'm already conditioned to, think and behave in a certain way. How do I break that?
I know. God, I just love you, man. You just brought me to exactly what I wanted to say. So here's what you can do. A consciousness bubble, I think of it as a bubble. Okay, that there's that conditioning, that rock solid stuff, the black part. And then there's this layer of consciousness which can be very thin. And when that layer is very thin, which means that we are not really aware of anything, we're not even aware of our own conditioning, then it shows itself out to the world.
So will it not be like, we're constantly fighting against ourselves to,
Deepa, don't get violent. Hold on.
I just use the term.
Hold on. Don't fight yet. In that moment, when you see that child, or okay, somebody didn't bathe for 10 days, right? That's the one that got you all. Ugh. and I don't know, maybe you were present and your conditioning allowed you to accept it for 9 days. I mean, what's the story here?
I see. I've gone on a trek, so where for 12 days we haven't taken bath. So, and you have.
Right. I didn't give you the scenario. You see, I didn't tell you where it was. Yeah, I've been on a mountain for 25 days in snow, and never be. And what? You're going to bathe? No way.
No.
But it
And
sounds
you all cramped
really
up in a small
bad, right?
tent where your fellow trekkers are also not taken bath. So.
Right. So tell me something. What is the difference now? The moment I tell you somebody has not had bath for 10 days, everybody went, ooh, what happened?
We assume that it is in the normal scenario in a day-to-day activity.
Good. Now, what's the alternative?
Start thinking.
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
pause.
So
Take a
that's
pause.
the pause.
Yes.
That's the pause. Good. Now.
Okay, take the pause and think what could be the reason why that person has not taken.
You're there and I'm here.
Sorry?
Go on.
Yeah, so you just take a pause and try to put yourself in the other person's.
Deepa, don't get theoretical with me. Do it.
No.
I'm the 10-day no bath person. Hey, you know what? I haven't bathed for 10 days.
It's your choice.
Really?
Because you're not going to stay with me under my roof. So it's okay. You're there and I'm here.
Remember, I said I'm your partner.
Okay.
At least share with them that I have a huge problem with it.
Do it, Aditi. Talk to me.
So you haven't bathed for 10 days. It's really bothering me.
Really? Why is that?
Because because it's yikes, and it's like the first thing everybody should do on a daily basis.
Really?
It is.
Do you think all those people living in Mongolia bathe every day?
But we aren't in Mongolia, so I have also not bathed for 14 days once when I was on a trek.
What's the assumption you made here?
Not an assumption. I mean, I would say that you're looking haggard, you are stinking, and this whole room is stinking because of you.
And see, you're already reacting. You're gone. You're finished. My 10 days has got you. Okay, we will come to this.
And also concern.
Sorry?
And also concern. I mean, you can get a skin disease or something like that.
My God, look at where you're going with your assumptions.
I'm speaking for everybody in the group, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you're guessing. Look at those faces. Those guys are saying, are you crazy?
Really?
I certainly am saying, are you crazy?
I was going to say, before all these perfumes and everything came into being, pheromones and all that when they come out, that's actually what attracts us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's another
When
approach.
people used to return from the ship, they used to send a message to their wife till they come.
Oh, God. Okay, this is, you want to, Aditi, here's some good news. Apparently, when people went out in the olden days, stuff like that, that
Can we hear Vishwas?
No, we
I
lost
think his
him.
screen. Yeah, we lost his
I
screen.
can't hear him. I can't hear him.
Yeah, I think the screen is frozen, so his connection may be an issue.
Even I am unable to hear him.
okay.
We lost you, Vishwas.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just going to repeat. I said, yeah. So you know what not bathing does, right? Do you know that? No? Okay. There's something called pheromones, but you know, go and study this. It's when you don't bathe that your body begins to smell the way you are, and it's supposed to be sexually attracting.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's scientific. Try it. Sorry. No.
Eeks. No.
Okay. So here's what I'm asking now. Let's just change the context and go back into the classroom. The way we teach, the way we educate is the way we were taught by and large. We lean back on those tested and tried methods, which is why the classroom has not changed in its approach for centuries. And what is the biggest assumption in that classroom? Any classroom?
That this is how it has to be.
What is that?
I know it all.
Teacher knows.
Teacher knows best, or teacher knows more than student.
The student.
Yeah, I know it all.
And that there's somebody who knows and somebody who doesn't. Look at the number of assumptions we make. Okay? Now, first of all, when we walk into that classroom, let's just raise our consciousness. And that consciousness is about staying yeah, just fix it. Okay, so the whole idea is to expand that purple bubble of consciousness. And this is in every conversation that we can have on a daily basis with everybody in our lives. We make an assumption that our children are ours. We make an assumption that good upbringing is children listening to parents. If somebody behaves, you know the classic Bollywood thing, right? ये किसका बेटा है? I mean, what the hell? I'm not responsible for my son's behavior. You're not responsible for your parents' desires. And somewhere we seem to forget this whole game and we play that old card again and again and again that this is how it's done. Come on, guys, let's move on. We really need to change the way we look at what we do and become a little more conscious about what our investment and intentionality is when we educate. Is it to produce another person who's the same as another? I mean, what exactly are we trying to do here? Or to create somebody who answers 95%? What's the story? So when we bring that person into the classroom, we can use all kinds of activities and be really good at it. You can play your tricks, use your toys. You can take them into the outdoors and allow the mountains to speak to people. But what you cannot ever take out of that equation is who you are. and people and your students, whoever they might be. And those of you who teach 3 and 5-year-olds, please don't be under the assumption that they don't sense. They sense you. And who you are is a huge piece in what we do. So, I don't know if I've mentioned this quote before. Consciously, we teach what we know. Unconsciously, we teach who we are.
Yes, you have.
And just stay alive to that, because that's really important. Okay? Great. Are you ready to play? What's the time? Yeah. Are you ready to play? I hope you've got your tangram sets. So we're going to put you into breakout rooms. Each tangram set, do we have any text on that? No. No. Okay. You can choose each group. You can choose which of these animals you are going to make. Each of these animals uses uses all 7 pieces of the tangram. Okay? And you have 10 minutes to make it. Are you ready? Have you lost them?
Ready.
You got your tangram sets ready? Make any one of these animals as a group. Yeah, might be a good idea for you to take a screenshot of these animals. Why can't we just leave that there?
For me to go into
Oh, okay. Have you taken a screenshot? Okay. Are you ready? Tangram sets ready. You got 10 minutes to make any one animal. Each breakout room can choose its own. Bye. All you winners. हुआ क्या?
Like we did it.
Really? Let's see the solution. Okay, everybody back? So, quick question. Those of you who were able to do it, what did you do that worked?
The brown dog.
Yeah, but what did you do in those 10 minutes that enabled this to happen?
So only 2 of us in the group had the pieces with us. So we were discussing which one to pick, and then we thought the brown dog.
Yeah, well, technically only one person needs to have.
Yes, but we weren't able to like do it together.
How did you do that?
We didn't do it together. I solved it and then I shared the result with
You
others.
did it by yourself and then shared it?
And yeah, just checked if everyone else felt it
And
was.
what did they do for 10 minutes, you think? Who are the others in the team?
It was Swapnil, Kalpana, Nikita, and Rosalind.
Right. So what were you guys doing?
So I was also trying to do the puzzle along with Ambika because I had the pieces. For some reason I couldn't find one piece, so I was a little busy in cutting up another piece, and then I was also doing the puzzle.
So it sounds like there were 5 people doing the same thing. Would that be right? individually? Any variations in the other groups? I saw some variations, so I'm just asking.
Yeah.
What?
We first decided on what to draw, okay, and before we actually got into making it, we just had uh, planned that like it's already done in mind, and we just need to figure it out. So thing was
This is what life is all about, right?
yeah. So we figured it out and we just took a consensus. And in the meantime, like there were a couple of more suggestions which was coming, like let's try something else.
Now that you have this experience, so I saw any other solutions? Sometimes you're not even aware of what you're doing that is working, right? Whether it worked or
Yeah.
not emerges only in the end. And this is another example of conditioning going into play. Imagine if you had chosen to approach this in a kind of a different way and even had a conversation about it.
We were wondering if there was a Padlet or something we missed, which allowed us to do it together on the screen.
We lost them again. Screen is frozen.
I know, but you I don't know, maybe, yeah. Okay, I kind of lost you in between there. Sorry, we're just having these storms in Pune, so kind of connectivity, power, both going on and off. So I saw one person showing the figure, and another person building it with the camera on it, and the other person's contributing to, okay, try this, try that.
I think that was our group.
Group 1, our group.
Yeah, I think that was yours. Okay, so just remember that, when I do activities with people, I usually warn them that one of the things I regularly do is my job as an experiential educator, even while teaching experiential education, is constantly to create this equilibrium for you. And what is your job? So my job is to create the trap. And what's your job? No?
Fall into it and experience it.
Is to fall into it.
Act as a bait.
Absolutely. Now here's the thing. If we work from what we were referring to as consciousness, I think it would be a very different story. So here's the solution anyway. Check if you got it. And those of you who didn't, you might want to take your pieces and just put them together, because this is a brilliant activity that you can do with almost any age group. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just make an assumption. If you had to do it differently, what might you do?
So we were trying to share the image on the screen because I think it would have been better had we been able to discuss, like, what do we, like, how do we put it together? But we didn't have a sharing option. So, I mean, using that limitation.
Why do you not have a sharing option?
The host has disabled sharing access.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm saying that with that.
You had to share within the constraints.
Yeah.
What would you share?
I think we could have drawn, like, all of us could have sketched the cat that we were trying to do, and like, discussed it before getting into putting it together.
And what did you get hooked into?
The final outcome.
What do you do in class? Same thing.
Yeah.
As teachers, we just go in there wanting to finish our worksheet and the agenda and the content.
Somehow we were trying to get it right.
Sorry?
I said somehow we were trying to get it right.
Quite right. And you see, this is the problem, that the process then gets lost. And if you don't have a process, we just go from one problem solving disaster because we're so agenda focused to another, and all our lives we're really doing that. If you think about it, that's what we're doing. We're just trying to solve a problem. We're not really sitting back and saying, okay, what is this about? And this, again, that same thing, right? Can you hear it nice and loud? And somewhere I think we've got to get out of that. You've got to go, pause. What's this about? Try it. Next time. And I tell you what, your first opportunity is going to come when you step out of that door. Wherever you are, you're going to bump into somebody. They're going to say something, you're going to say something. And you can actually create that opportunity of practicing consciousness in every conversation, in every moment that you respond or react to something. So I think the whole idea is to slow down that process. There's no rush. Nobody is going anywhere. Give it a thought. And as educators, I think more than anybody else, we need to be conscious of this fact. Otherwise, we are just going to do the same thing that our teachers did to us. And we wonder why. Is this making sense? Yeah? Okay. Great. Let's move a little from that self to what we can do to enable some of this. Okay? Now, I want you to tell me what this is. What is this?
Robotic instructions.
Uh-huh. Tell me more.
Pattern which is set.
There's some pattern.
There's a pattern. Yeah. Go on. Just remember all this, okay? In fact, those of you who are note takers, please write these things down. Yeah. So we said robotic, whatever. What was it, Somi? What did you say?
Pattern, I said.
Pattern. What else?
Recurring.
Recurring.
Green and white words.
Colorful.
Oh, come on.
It's
See, that's the consciousness talking right now. I love that. You're already practicing.
it's very instructive.
Instructive.
Training.
Training.
it's commanding. So
Commanding. I hope somebody's taking notes because this is brilliant. You want to know what this is?
Conditioning.
You want to know what this is?
Continuous.
Conditioning.
cut and paste. Control C, Control V.
I was going to say the life of anyone.
Arushi gets intelligent quicker. And then speak up. You know what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
I think most timetables start with English. I have no idea why. Most days start with the English class, as though that's going to be used in the next class. Because you're not going to do any talking anyway. It's the teacher who's going to come and do all the talking anyway. So what's the point here? This is what we've made it. One method, one thing for everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. And if you remember doing, I got to say this, right? If you remember doing your learning styles inventory, discovered that there's more than one way to learn. Corporate, no different. I mean, on what basis do you hire? Tick box, certificate है क्या? बोल सकता है क्या? टाई पहना है क्या? Polished shoes हैं क्या? Whatever, depending on which industry you're in. Think of the number of blood pressure tests you go through in life. And as though that's not enough because we didn't pass the test on a particular day because we were anxious and blood pressure was high, or I've just come after a run and gone into whatever, and we kick ourselves what we call failure. And I think it's the failure of the system. I've always, I think you need to write this down. Madhvi, are you there?
Yeah.
Make a note of this. I need to put it into the journal.
Okay.
So here's your homework, guys. I want you to come up with an alternate, what's it called, testing system. One paragraph of if you had to conduct a test in your classroom or whatever, wherever you are, how will you go about it? What will you do? Okay? Great. We're constantly doing this to Madhvi, and every time we do that, her blood pressure goes up, which is why we've got her name there. Madhvi, ye kiya kya? Arey nahi, arey, what is this, yeah? You know how people do it to each other even at home, right? Oh, did you fold your clothes? Did you wash your clothes? Oh, did you have breakfast? Did you pay the bill? Damn. Constantly somebody or the other is testing us about something or the other. And of course, if a test was a test, So you're free enough to say, yeah, I did it today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. But no, there's a judgment. My father is 91. My mother is 86. I'm a senior citizen myself. And I've just, every time I go home, I play this game in my head. I wonder how they're going to judge me today. So I will often create opportunities for them to do so. And I'll say, hey, do you want anything? Can I do something for you? And sometimes it'll be critical. And it never fails. They will always come up with a statement, something like, can we trust you to do it? You know why? Because 55 years ago, I failed a test. Sound familiar? Not just parents, man. Hey, I love them. Okay, it's got nothing to do with it. It's just I'm trying to figure out, do I do it to anybody, and what form and shape does it take? That once I've had an experience that when I look at them again and I'm asking them to do something again, that I bring that back. And mind you, I'm not saying right or wrong. All I'm saying is this is where that whole consciousness piece needs to come alive, because that blood pressure test was taken decades ago. Now, how is it fair to say I'm high or low? So, what do we really need to teach our children? Now, you can be a corporate trainer. When you're in the classroom, you are my bab. Don't forget that. And they can be older than you, and that's fine. But you're still the teacher there. This is an open conversation. What's the time? What would you really like to teach your children?
To be self-sufficient and independent.
Okay. And will you allow that?
Trying to.
Like they go ahead and do the thing on their own.
Yeah, independence. But we want them to tie their shoelaces.
Themselves.
I mean, tie your shoelaces and do it yourself, because you have to learn and be independent. Damn. We forgot that the shoelace itself was a problem. I mean, it began there. Now we're just instructing.
So I think what we need to teach is to have children to have faith in themselves, allow them to think for themselves.
Will you really allow that? No, you don't. Yes. You don't have to. See, I just remember when you say something, no, I'm going to be the devil's advocate and challenge you on it, because what does that look like and what it means? That I want them to think by themselves. Okay, are they not already doing that?
Yes, they are. But then when, as an adult, I need to allow, meaning I have to accept.
So it's not about them anymore.
Yes.
So what is?
Not, definitely not. It's about me.
Okay, what will you do next?
So I have to accept, like what Khalil Gibran has said, just let them be, give them space.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe just protect them from, protect them, yes, and let them be.
Okay.
So I have to put what shall I say? Basically, as a parent or as a teacher, I have to hold myself, like what you said, have that pause to if I find that my conditioning is going to interfere with them listening to their own to their own voice.
Damn, that's a huge job, no?
It is, because that means I have to start with myself.
All right. Okay. Anybody feel differently about this? Because now, I can close the session and say, go home and practice this. It's.
I think it's going to be a journey. I mean, it sounds correct. It sounds right in my mind. To be honest, I'm not sure how it's going to look like what I think Deepa was also saying earlier. Like, we're so conditioned. So I think to begin with, it would require like a practice. Like, you keep telling your mind to practice, saying, okay, like maybe something similar to start and stop. Like, the minute you start saying something like tie your shoe, and then you take a minute and practice and fine tune your brain, saying, am I saying it because I just want to rule over my child, or like because I'm conditioned, or like I'm like why I'm saying this. So I think in my mind it is too idealistic now. It's going to be a journey, and I would have to train my mind to think about like.
Begin, Nikita.
I think very important is that if I accept my own self with my
Yeah, just hold on, Nikita, one sec, Nikita.
Sorry, is it better now?
When will you begin?
Yeah, I think I was just wrapping up only. I feel that like I get the idea, but in practice for me to really implement it, it would require for me to very consciously practice it and keep reminding myself.
When will your practice begin?
I think when I'm aware and I keep.
When will that begin?
I think when I'm very consciously thinking about like, why I'm doing certain behavior, where it is coming from.
On a calendar.
Maybe just reflecting by the day, like how did I react into different situation?
You know when
What
the
did I?
next opportunity is?
Yeah.
When you walk out of that door. The next person you meet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's much better. Yeah. Maybe like taking some time. I think as a child we used to do so often with the movies.
There's no time. This whole idea is of great urgency.
Yeah. No, I completely concur to it, and that's what I was saying. Like as a child, like whenever and like now also, like wherever we go for a movie, thinking about that movie for so long. So I think very similar what you're saying. Like every experience I have, every interaction I have to take a pause and rerun that entire experience just to reflect on how did I behave. Was I being my true self, or like I was just saying because that's how I've been conditioned to.
So here's another thought.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the end. So it's already done. The arrow is gone.
Completely.
And at some level, you're probably listening to me and saying, what nonsense. I don't know.
No. Yeah.
No, I'm just throwing it out there because what this calls for is something completely different. And it's an adventure. What does that sound like, feel like? We have no idea. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that thought. Everybody's shaking their head. You know what?
No.
Useless teachers, throw out your curriculum, man. I wish we were able to come to that place where we see content only as a means to an end. Okay, so it sounds, you've sounded the verdict. Please remember this, because we think that we are giving them a future by finishing worksheets, by giving them exams, by getting them to sit for these 10th and 12th and whatever else. And I'm not saying no. I'm saying just the way that we're going about it seems rather strange. And the reason is that anything new is kind of unknown territory. And does it mean that when I see a kid with untied shoelaces that I keep quiet? No. No. Please know that that is not the solution. We will talk about this again, about the shoelace thing, when we do the reflective piece as to, okay, so what shall we do? Because I think we've gone through that bandwidth of telling, and the other end was do nothing. Maybe neither of these is the answer. So then what's the answer? Let's find out. So Susan Kowalik has done some brilliant work in the study of the brain and body relationship. And I'm just going to give you some text. This is content. You can look it up, but I'm going to move somewhere else with it. So you can, let's read this, but we will take it to another place immediately after. Kind of lofty ideal in some ways, huh? Willing and able to engage in our democratic processes to improve life now and for future generations. Oh God. Okay. I guess, you can't leave it at that. Now there are educators who have to make this happen, right? Because we do send them to this place called school. And when I came across this, that first piece itself, I was gone. Wow. And look at how we measure it. It's called IQ. Translated to a number. And we know over the years that those people with really high IQs struggle with social intelligence. Really smart in some areas, but just struggle with relationships. I mean, how many teachers ask their students once they've solved something as to what are some alternate ways of solving it? That's a really scary question to ask, because somebody said that the answer paper in your 10th grade and 12th grade needs to be done in a particular way. So we really teach them how to solve a problem in a particular way. We're not teaching them problem solving at all. Because problem solving is not one method. the way of thinking. It's not solving the problem, it's the method.
Vishwas, it reminds me of one of the incidents my husband was mentioning. During his college time when he was into coding, his teacher was upset or angry with him because he did not do the coding in the same steps as was taught to him. So he was always, his coding or his codes were never even looked at because that's the way the teacher has taught him.
Must be a bright guy. Yeah, because if he's doing something his teacher told him not to, damn. He's already bucking the system. And all these difficult children in any classroom, no? What they're doing is exactly this. They're trying to solve a problem in multiple ways or in a different way. Okay. You can read more. Google Susan Kovalik. What I really want you to pay attention to is this last piece. Here's that student of ours. What is our greatest intention? What is my greatest intention with you as you sit there? It's not a riddle.
That we take something meaningful from this class and apply it to ourselves first.
No, the first part was great.
Okay.
The rest I have no control over. Okay?
Yes.
Right. Anything else that comes to mind? So clearly, take something that's meaningful to you. And I'm looking at 25 different meaningfulnesses. And how am I going to do that? I have no idea. Therefore, keep approaching that topic and subject from different places and do it in different ways so that different people with their learning styles, varying learning styles will get something. I think there was a question from one of the group that, how do I do this? And the point is this, you don't do different things for different learning styles. You do one thing, but do it in different ways. Okay, so the biggest concern very often, and even more so, I had mastered it to a degree when I was doing stuff face to face, because your personality and my personality came alive in the relationship. Now it's anybody's guess. And I'm just going by how I sense you and your expression. But I think the whole trip here is to enable your learning in any which way that I can. And I don't know what you're going to take away. I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know what you're going to take away. Okay, so here are 9 elements. You pay attention to some of these, all of these, do whatever you want, but at least look at it. So we've got, what is this? What does that look like to you?
Brain.
Huh?
Brain, body.
The brain and heart
body
connected.
The
Head
head
and heart. Head and heart connected.
Head and heart connection.
Brain and heart holding hands.
Right. So not just give you content and ask you to juggle it in your brain and try and make sense of it, make it meaningful. I mean, assuming that the heart is the home of feeling, and the brain and the head is the home of thinking. So head and heart, make it meaningful to you. So each time you come up with something, when I'm describing something, I'm saying if you're working with adults, what does it mean? If you're working with children, what does it mean? What's the context? I'm constantly trying to offer you context so that you can find it meaningful in the scenarios that you find yourself in. And if you don't get it, I said this before, I'm saying it again, please stop me and say, okay, what does it look like when you do it with whoever, whatever age group? My favorite story in this context is I was doing a teacher training piece, and it was a classroom. It was a classroom that children used, and there were about 30 teachers, and I was using a blackboard, and I made them sit in those chairs for 3 hours non-stop. Hey, some of you are throwing your eyebrows up, some of you are smiling. Why? What happened in your head? What do you see happening?
Yeah, and letting them experience what the children go through.
I had mutiny on my hands. He said, can you please stop now? I said, why? We're only in the third period of the day. Who controls whether you go out or not? I do. Who controls whether you've understood or not? I do. I said, this is what you make your children do. And if you find a fidgety children, you send that kid out and say, Murga bano. This was a government school. Oh, man. I think they really got it. So you can create an experience in that space that's hard hitting. And the whole point here is, hey, no movement. There's no blood going there. PT classes in the morning. After that, you're supposed to be wired for the next 6 hours. So introduce movement of some sort, even if it's doing a dance. I tried doing a song and dance activity on this medium. Damn, it just failed so miserably because, there's this lag and it just doesn't work. I found I was doing the dance and everybody else was so slow and at different places that I had to leave about 10 seconds in between. And then once you do that, it's gone, right? And choices, be careful that you don't go walk into your classroom and say, okay, what do you want to do today? Oh, I want to go to the playground. Of course. You know why they say that so regularly? Please try it in your classroom. What do you really want to do right now? I want to go out. It's never failed in a school. I ask that question, I get the same answer each time. There's a crying need for movement. There's also a crying need for creating choices because they don't have any. We control everything and we think it's a good thing. Because teacher knows best. And it's always been done that way, remember? Yeah, those of you who missed making a note, please, for God's sake, Google 5 apes in a cage and the story. Adequate for whom? The biggest failure of our schooling system, the 40-minute session. before the kids got a hang of anything. So life becomes that for him. That nothing is supposed to be understood or imbibed. It's just supposed to be done the way the teacher wants it. So when I went back to teach, the condition I put to that school was that I want 1.5 hours. And they, for that year, that school rewired their timetable for me. But what emerged was brilliant. I don't know if they took any lessons from that, but I'm telling you, the timetable is designed for teachers, not for children. The workplace is designed for employees, not partners in contribution. So it's always the authority, the adult, the I know it person who's doing it for somebody else. And why not walk into a classroom and say, okay, for the next 9 months of the year, we're going to be studying English. How would you like to learn it? Even what do you want to learn? Those of you who like watching movies, please go and watch Freedom Writers. Anybody heard of the movie? Yeah, okay. Please go watch it. One person's seen it. Please go watch it. Brilliant movie about a teacher who goes to a community where those kids are there because somebody's told them they have to be there. Adequate time. Time is about the learner, not the teacher. Enrich the environment they're in, not lock libraries. If you're going to use toys, put them in the corner of the room. If you're going to use books and a dictionary, put them in the corner of the room. Another movie to watch? Pay It Forward. Yeah, I love movies. I don't know if you do or not, but go out there and watch them. They're brilliant movies.
Can you repeat that title again, Biswas? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Pay It Forward. Again, another teachery movie.
It's pay or play.
Pay, P-A-Y. They say pay it back. Nobody says pay it forward. Did you get that, Panjusha? Okay. Right. Now, please tell me which part of your life is alone that you ever do alone. Is there anything at all? Serious question, huh?
Reflection.
You do it alone?
Yeah. It's
Huh.
with yourself.
Really? Nobody else? Nothing else?
Meditation. I hope so. I do it alone.
Meditation, did you say?
Yes.
And how's either meditation or reflection going to earn you a livelihood?
No. I didn't think you have something for earning like.
Yeah, I know. Meditation and reflection are luxuries.
Yes, that's true. For livelihood.
Anything that you really do alone.
You are asking that what we do alone for livelihood?
You can decide, but I'm saying, even meditation truly is not just yourself. You just divide yourself into two parts and you say one is quiet and the other is going crazy. Reflection is exactly what it means, that you've got another person, that mirror is there. So you're not alone again. There's nothing. I've been trying to play this game in my head. I said anything that I do alone, and there's nothing that I can do ever alone. Even that sannyasi who goes and sits in the mountains in a cave, then why is testing in a classroom an individual thing? Why do we have a first and a second and a third and a last? Because they are individual positions, and compared with something else, even in that it's not. But this is what we do. Why can we not? I mean, breaks my heart, man. Everything in life is collaborative, and yet we prepare none of our children for it. And a place like IIM gets talked about because they have collaborative study and collaborative projects. For God's sake, you don't need an IIM to teach you that lesson. And IIM doesn't necessarily become great because of collaborative methodology. Term tests, weekly tests, corrections, spelling corrections, your, what's it called? What's that book called, where you take your dictation? Isn't that what it's called in school, dictation? Teacher tells you words, you write them down, she takes it home and returns it to you after a week. Why the hell should I care about something I wrote a week back? Maybe I know the answer now. Even organizations, what do you call it? Appraisal. Some guy whose face you haven't seen moving for months together comes around and says, boss, ab appraisal time aa gaya. I'm your boss, and we had said this a year ago. How are you doing? Of course I'm doing shitty with it. Are you crazy? I didn't know where I was going. You're supposed to be my boss. You're supposed to be my guide, mentor, everybody. Now I haven't seen you after a year, and now you sit there and measure me. And primarily because you don't want to give me the money I might need. What a crazy system, man, and we accept it. And don't tell me that, we do quarterly. Meaningless. I think the issue about immediate feedback is the power of the relationship between the teacher and the student and the boss and the mentee, sorry. And he's walking around. When I did my MBA, there was this, the latest thing at that time was called MBWA. You know what that meant? Management by walking around. Go around, talk to people, meet them, ask them, build a relationship. Manage that way, not by sitting in your cabin. people need to know whether they're doing okay or not at the end of the year or end of the project. Oh, you know what, you failed in this. Or you did your piece of that module really badly. Somebody else had to repair it. Wow, really? You didn't tell me that? What does this word mean to you?
Expertise.
Okay, so
do so many times.
Have you ever done something that you got lost in and forgot time and food and water? Have you ever had that experience? Yeah? What was it?
Painting.
Are you crazy? Painting?
Yes.
You must have been crazy.
Yes, I was crazy
You know
because
why?
I used to paint in the morning and would get up only when the painting was done.
Was that because you made yourself do that, or was it something
No,
else?
I just loved it.
That's it. And I'm saying that by and large, and when we see our children doing that, what do we tell them? बहुत हो गया.
I love it.
खाना खाने का टाइम हो गया है. चलो भागो. It's evening. You've been inside all day long. Go out and play. That state of flow is building mastery. It's not becoming a master or a guru or whatever. Okay, that's not what it means. It means building mastery, getting better at it. Because I'm guessing while you were painting, you did something and it didn't quite come out well, and you knew it and you repaired it. You didn't need a teacher to come and tell you, you know what, make this like this. You didn't have anybody. That is the art of building mastery. Why can we not help children build mastery with 2 plus 2? Our circulatory system. It's incredible what we are doing to prevent mastery from building. So when people join industry and go to work, they have nothing. They really have nothing. We've robbed them of every possibility of building mastery in anything. And just remember, it's an infinity sign. There is nothing called perfection. If we can pay attention to these 9 things, absence of threat. Can you list for me the threats that exist in your life?
Fear of failure.
Fear of being judged.
Okay, if somebody can write them down and send it to me, I'd like to put it out here because these are all real. Fear of failure, fear of being judged. Go on, tell me more.
Fear of not belonging.
Not belonging. Madhvi, can you write this down?
Yeah, I'm writing.
Oh, thanks. Tell me what you're really afraid of.
What will they think if I ask something? Or what will they think about what I'm doing?
Yeah, so
Other thoughts.
in both those is what will other people think? Wow, what a threat, man. Big one. Everybody else is cool, is it? No fears?
Fear of rejection.
It's okay. I'm just asking.
Fear of rejection.
Rejection.
Being judged.
Fear of being judged.
Okay.
Fear of losing.
Yeah, fear of losing, fear of unknown.
Unknown. Losing what? Something.
Losing something, loss of something.
Relationship.
Relationships. Okay. Fear of losing relationships.
Fear of loss of freedom.
Loss of freedom.
Fear of being nobody.
Being that freedom exists.
Sorry,
Okay.
come again.
The assumption being that freedom exists. Alvin?
Yes, in however I perceive it.
Okay.
Right, that freedom being lost.
Okay.
And the other is, of course, restriction of movement, as in
Okay.
the physical movement itself.
Wow. Huh.
Fear of being a nobody.
I don't know if we really know what that means, right? But it's a real fear. Fear of being a nobody. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Now, it really, what I'm, see how many fears, and I'm guessing that a lot of these fears start really early. This is not just an adult thing. And we carry them for a lifetime. In some ways, what Alvin said, fear of movement. And for me, that's what it meant, that I can't even move away from my fears sometimes, even if I want to. Even if they cause me enormous pain and hurt and sadness, I can't open the door because I don't know where it is. And somehow, as educators, we often create that same thing with our classrooms. And, just to think about what are we doing? And to see if we can bring alive that consciousness to re-look at how we educate. And that education is also at home. So relationships at home, relationships outside, relationships in the classroom.
Vishwas, the question really is how.
How what?
I'll tell you. I mean, how do we, equip, be it our children or anybody to, be or create that absence of threat. So probably the absence of threat is there in your environment that you're creating for them. They're going to go to the next class or next session by somebody else. All of these things are not going to be, be there.
You can't do. Hey, all that is out of control. Don't you already know that?
Yeah. So
what is in your control?
The best that we can provide in the environment that we are.
Giving them the experiences is enough.
No,
it's actually preparing them to, you can't control the environment. You can't.
It's not about them, man. It's about us. Okay, have you ever met somebody where there was an absence of threat? Give it a second or two. Have you ever met anyone like that?
No.
Someone always is having a threat of something or the other.
No. Have you met anybody who, in their presence, you felt no threat?
My own presence.
No. Don't go there at all. Because maybe you should ask people around you what you do. What your presence does.
I think my presence relaxes them.
Go ask them. And don't ask them the right question. Don't ask them whether your presence relaxes them. Seriously, you have met no one in whose presence you felt freedom, comfortable,
Friends sometimes.
safe.
It's to do with yourself.
Nitya, I know I'm asking you whether you have or not. That's all I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying. I am.
What? You are what?
I feel safe with my own self.
I'm not asking you about yourself. We live in a world.
Yeah, but if I'm feeling threatened, so if I feel threatened by you, then there is something I lack in me that I feel threatened by
You
you.
beat up on yourself about that, and it has nothing to do with me. The moment I walk into the room, you feel threatened.
No, I don't.
Simple. If you felt like that, okay, I'm going to leave you with this thought, this question, and see if over the next week you can encounter anybody where you feel safe. I mean, one way to put it is, do you feel a threat? But, you know, very often we do strange things from our conditioning. Constant, you know, that whole survival instinct comes alive, even though there might not be any threat. But there's another aspect to this, which I'm wondering whether you can try and experience, which is, hey, you know what? I don't feel afraid to talk to this person. I don't feel afraid to ask what otherwise I might call stupid questions. Something changes in that space with that person. Yeah, there might be some friends. I'm just asking you to connect with that and find out if anybody in your life like that. Yeah.
I wanted to bring a perspective here. Threat might be a very strong word, but in a lot of environments, it's really about, okay, can I be myself?
Okay.
Right. It's really about, okay, now do I have to put on a facade just to put my, to create a fictional character, somebody that I'm not really, but I have to sort of.
No, I think the problem, Alvin, is you see, most of my life I've spent in responding to various threats. And I really don't know what that means to be myself. I think that's my struggle. I don't know when I'm myself. What does that mean? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What am I sensing in that moment of being myself? What is it? How would you describe it? Because I'm discovering myself all the time anyway. But is there a place? Is there any place that I feel completely safe? Or, I mean, safer than most other places. Okay, let's make it relative then. Is there such a place? Is there such a person?
No, that's how I interpreted threat for me. I mean, it may not be a physical threat, but it really is about, okay, now is that person allowing me? Or rather, I can't say that they are allowing or disallowing. It's really about, okay, how do I feel about being in the presence of that person? Now, can I be myself? Or there is something about that person that makes me want to conduct myself a particular way, just to be able to please them.
Yes, you're quite right. And that can often be a threat, that I have to be a certain way. And it's uncomfortable. See, I'm not arguing the fact that it has something to do with ourselves. I'm not, Nitya, don't get me wrong. What I am saying is that I realize that I am responding in a particular way, and you know, sometimes I wish it was different. And that's the only indication. I say, why do I want it to be different? Let's say this classroom. Why do I want it to be different? Because maybe I'm sensing threat of some kind. And then we can go back to that conversation. What does threat mean? But most of my life has been, well, our lives have been spent in responding to the outside world to a point where I don't even know what that is. And consciousness about being in a classroom is about sensing what your children are feeling and being able to do something very consciously in that moment so that they don't have to put on. The facades are normal. Is there such a face of mind that does not have a facade? I don't think so. Everyone is a mask. But is that mask done to protect myself? And I think maybe that's the question. And if I'm protecting myself, what am I protecting myself from? Because we are animals first, remember? Another way of putting it, is there somebody you like to go and talk to? Maybe that's another way of putting it. And I love talking to so-and-so. Why? Because I don't know, man. And don't say I don't know anymore. Just kind of dissect it a bit and say, what is it that person is doing? Because it's affecting me. I'm sensing what he is doing very consciously and responding to it. I can't say it's always about me because it isn't. That person is very, very, knowingly, unknowingly doing something that invites me into that space. See if you can encounter anybody like that in the coming week. And go a little deeper into what is it that they are doing that allows me to feel that way or that makes me feel that way. Because that's huge. Because you know why? Otherwise, we can walk away from this session saying, I'm not doing anything threatening. My classroom is very feeling threatened, man. I don't want to threaten them, but they are feeling threatened. I want them to feel safe, but they're not feeling that. And somewhere, as educators, we have to take that responsibility and do things consciously. Otherwise, that space will never change. Because we are responsible for that space. Are you getting a sense of what a huge piece this is? And we have a choice and we can make it. So that's your homework. Madhvi, just write that down, yeah? Two things. One, find out what those people are doing that make you feel safe, happy, whatever words you want to use. And what's the other piece, Madhvi?
The other piece is alternative testing system.
Yeah. So one is cognitive, the other is affective. Please have a wonderful week ahead. I will see you soon. And please be conscious of this. I will remind you midweek about these two things. You know what they are now? Can somebody state them for me, please? Not Madhvi.
Alternate testing system for children.
Alternate, yeah, measuring, testing, whatever you want to call it, okay? Assessment systems.
Okay.
If you had to introduce it, what would you do and what would it look like? And second?
Is if you're, if certain people that you're in the presence of makes you feel threatened. So what is it that they're doing?
Not threatened, safe.
Safe. Oh, sorry, safe. So what is it that they're doing that makes you feel that way?
And the underlined word is they. What is it that they are doing that makes you feel safe? Okay?
And so should we just consciously note that down, or should we just be conscious about what they do that makes us feel safe? Okay.
Cool. Hey, apologies if I came out a little strong today. these two pieces are really close to my heart. And, I'm beginning to realize that we can be any kind of educator. It doesn't, sometimes the methodology doesn't matter if we can change the way, if we can change what the classroom feels like. When that happens, everything else will fall into place. Then we can learn the skill to make it more interesting, experiential, whatever. But we are the most important thing in our classroom. Have a great week ahead. Dasara tomorrow or whatever. Don't burn anyone.
So a quick question, and I'm asking this for clarity.
Steph, hold on. Those of you who have to leave, don't worry about it. There are people who hang out. If you want to be there, be there. But feel free to leave. Yes, Steffi. Waiting.
Yeah. So the question, so you said find out what people do to make you feel safe. Or is the question find out what people do that makes you feel safe?
You can decide.
Okay.
I just want you to dissect. You see, the thing is, one is we're learning to recognize when you feel safe. And then saying, hey, what did that person do? Were they even aware of it? And dissect them, not yourself. Because that's a behavior that we can bring into our classroom and say, hey, how do I do this? Because we have a responsibility. Eventually, it's going to come back to you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My joy.
So when you say pause and when you say clap and when you say this in a process, so when you say pause, are you mean of course when I think of this whole scenario, it just makes it, when you think of that what you said, it's over. But once you pause, you actually are very conscious about what you're gonna say next.
Yeah.
So that piece is really it kind of made a lot of sense to me, and I think I'm just thankful to that. Thank you. And I'm going to try it out. I'm going to tell you how my experience goes. But yeah.
Another way of imagining it is you've got this, you got that bow and arrow. And, that whole archery thing is seen as meditative.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Because in that moment of keeping the string stretched and taut is everything. And the choice, and you're making huge choices in that moment as to when to release the arrow or to release it at all. Keep it taut, man. Be the Ramban.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.